Class 3 now. This was October 3rd, I believe. Could that possibly be right? Yeah, the first two were in September. Oh, I have some of these dates wrong. Yeah, I'm not sure I got the dates right here, but don't worry about it. The third class was Transformation of the Spirit. Transformation of the Spirit. And in this class, we learned a few words. Transformation, which is a thorough or dramatic change in form or appearance. Something changes, it's transformed. Easy to remember that. Transfiguration, we learned, is a complete change of form or appearance into a more beautiful or spiritual state. And then confirmation, the word confirmation, the rite at which a baptized person, especially one baptized as an infant, affirms Christian belief and is admitted as a full member of the church. And those words should be very familiar with you now. We talked about that in our retreat last week with Sam from Red Barn Ministries. We asked the opening question, and this was one I wanted you to really think about. I always want you to be thinking when I ask a question, but this one, do you want to be confirmed? And I wanted you to be thinking about it. Maybe some of you definitely know you want to be confirmed. You're looking forward to this and you're paying really good attention and participating in class. And maybe some of you are doing this because your parents are asking you to and expecting you to, and just to keep peace in the household, you're carrying this out, you know. And I get that, but I do hope that you're listening with ears of faith. Okay, that's the other thing the scribes and Pharisees did not do. They weren't listening to Christ with ears of faith. And I hope you are listening with ears of faith. And I hope that these classes and the retreat, certainly that we had last week, you know, helps you to really realize how important and real this is. Okay. I liked what Sam did when he talked about the tooth fairy and the Easter bunny and Santa, okay? And made sure that there's a really strong distinction in your mind behind those situations and learning about Jesus Christ, okay? So he went right into being an apologist at that point, okay, to drive the point home. Do you remember that? Do you remember that conversation that we had last week?
Yes.
Yeah, very powerful, I thought. So, all right. So what else? We what did we do next? We had a breakout session, and we watched that video of Saul on the road to Damascus. That transformation of the spirit. I mean, no better way. Oh, and we read an article by a guy named Thomas Gumbleton from the Peace Pulpit. And the name of the article was Confirmation Means a Transformation of the Spirit. That's what I want you to think about your confirmation, okay? And maybe you feel like your spirit's already strong in faith and you have a good, strong Catholic faith. Well, maybe you don't need so much of a transformation. I get that. But, you know, never think, okay, this is good enough. Look, I'm 62 years old, and I've been teaching for a lot of years now, and this is refreshing for me to come back to every year. I'm reminded of things that I can do better in my life, and I learn more things as you gain more experience each year, and in life, you know, different life lessons that you learn, you apply to what your faith teaches you. And you see it in a new light, and there's always learning to be done. And that shouldn't be something where you go, oh, geez, I have to keep learning every year. It's a wonderful thing, okay? You're going to be learning all your life, and it's good, okay? So I want you to be encouraged about that. So we read this article about confirmation means a transformation of the spirit, and a couple of you commented that you liked that article because you appreciated the part about confirmation, meaning that you're saying yes to following Jesus in your life. You're saying yes to following Jesus, and what that means when you say that's why we went into the lesson on the new way. What did Jesus tell us? When we say yes to following Jesus, what does that mean? What did he teach us that we should be following him? Okay. So that's why these classes kind of build on each other. All right. And you appreciated the fact that confirmation means yes, to saying yes to following Jesus and not just a ceremony that you're going through. That was good feedback. Okay. All right. So then in the breakout room for that class, after watching the video of Saul on the road to Damascus, we talked about why do you think Christ chose Saul, St. Paul, in particular for such an important role in spreading Christianity? If you look at the work that Paul did after he was transformed with the blinding light and in that conversion and baptism, for 25 years, he traveled, and nothing could stop him. He was beaten, he was thrown into prison multiple times, shipwrecked, all kinds of things. But he just kept plowing ahead, and he kept breaking through to new audiences. And I don't think anyone's done as much work on earth as St. Paul. What a conversion, what a great example for a transformation of the spirit, okay? And we asked the question, why do you think Christ chose Saul? And you had good feedback here, Gabe and Grace and Regan. Christ chose Saul because he was a person who would be believed. We talked about how highly educated he was from a teacher named Gamaliel, a famous historical figure, well known in the city of Tarsus, which was an educational center. Okay, and we know that he was well respected for his intellect. So that was one feedback, was a person who would be believed. He was believable when he spoke. People listened to him. He also said he was a guy who didn't apparently want to give up. When he believed in something, he was going straight ahead at it. And even when he was wrong about Christianity, he was going ahead in that direction, okay? But thank God, Christ got his attention, and now he was in solidarity with our faith, okay? So, and not persecuting anymore. See how all these terms, persecution, solidarity, new way, all this ties in, transformation of spirit, it's all tied together, these classes. But it's kind of like building a house. We got to get the foundation right here before we can move on. We also talked about that this was you shared in your breakout room that this kind of dramatic transformation that Christ showed the world that transformation is possible. And what a great example of Saul to St. Paul. Transformation of your spirit is possible. Anything's possible through God. And finally, we said he was a guy that God trusted. God trusted him. And he turned out to be a very trustworthy person. As I mentioned, nothing could slow him down. God gave him that mission, and he went at it for the rest of his life. Okay. All right. So then we went forward and we read about, we started talking about the test at the end of the year, 7 gifts of the Holy Spirit that you're going to receive at confirmation: wisdom, understanding, right judgment, knowledge, courage, reverence, and wonder and awe. And we read a confirmation, we recited a confirmation prayer. I read it to you, and it tied all those gifts together as far as your faith in God and how those gifts apply to strengthening your faith and how you should live your life. And it's a beautiful confirmation prayer. We'll come back to that again sometime. All right, now the last, and then we're almost done here. So the last class, which was 2 weeks ago, was the new way. And this was Christianity via the Sermon on the Mount. And we asked a question, what sets Christians apart? How does Christ want us to be? Again, we're saying yes at confirmation to following Jesus. Well, we got to know what Jesus said to do, right? So, we turned right to Matthew chapter 5. That's how you can really learn about the Sermon on the Mount. It's all right there. We watched a 10-minute video, YouTube video, Understanding the Sermon on the Mount. Go back and watch that again. You can just type that in. Understanding the Sermon on the Mount, YouTube video. You could watch that again. And we learned a lot in that video. First of all, they talked about the setting. That video started off, they showed the mountains, how important mountains are in the gospel and in the Old Testament as well. Many of the very important events happened up on mountaintops. And this was no different. That's why God, Christ, set that stage up on the mount. And overlooking the Sea of Galilee. And they showed images of what that beautiful spot is like, peaceful setting to have a serious talk with his disciples and followers. Christ went right into the Beatitudes. The Beatitudes, blessed are they. Okay, and he would describe what a good Christian person is, the blessed people, the types. So in contrast to the 10 Commandments telling you what not to do, important to know, thou shalt not, thou shalt not. This, and the 10 Commandments did not come from Jesus on the Sermon on the Mount. I don't want you to be confused. God gave Moses in the Old Testament the 10 Commandments. That's where we learned the 10 Commandments. But Christ took a different angle here, talking about how we should be. And the Beatitudes describe that. Being merciful, blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. So it's the same thing as, avoiding judgment. Don't judge others. Be merciful. That's what a good Christian does. Okay. And he also described, being truly blessed or prosperous is not about wealth or even law, obedience to the law, too much of that. And I'm not saying you go out and break the law, and Christ wasn't saying that either. But where the scribes and the Pharisees were a little too hung up on this nitpicky attitude, judging others and studying that law to that degree and being judgmental of others mainly, they were kind of losing track of the bigger picture of being merciful and being blessed and being humble, lowly and humble. Because with God, there is no parallel. We don't, God isn't just, Bishop Barron gave a great sermon today, and he talked about that. He said, God is not just another, aspect of our lives here on earth. Yes, we have this, we have that, and we have God over here. No, God is behind the whole thing. Okay, God is it. And we should realize, and this is where humility comes in. So being lowly and humble is very important to realize that, and to ask for God and to listen to God. We're nothing without God. God created us. God created this world. Okay, we need to recognize that and be thankful every day. Every day. He talked about working towards perfection, and he used the terms, you are the salt of the earth and you are the light of the world. And the salt, we learned in the video, salt was used for preserving and savoring flavor and preserving food, preserving meats. They didn't have refrigeration back then. So the lasting nature of it for protecting our spirit through eternity here, salt, very important. So the salt of the earth, and we're to share that with others as the light of the world analogy too. A light gives light to all around, and we don't snuff it out. We don't cover it. We put it up and we shine it on a light stand, okay? And that's the example of you sharing your Christianity in the world every day. You wake up and you go out into the world, and you need to be that follower of Christ and have people draw to you and learn more about you. And you'll see the Catholic faith grow and be strong again. And it's going to be up to you moving forward, class, to carry this mission on, okay? I go to Mass every week, and I see an aging group in there, we need to see more young people in Mass. So don't forget that. And receiving the Eucharist, there's no better way to develop a personal relationship with Christ than that. So he went further and he talked about Christ on the Sermon on the Mount, talked about not abolishing the law, none of the commandments, not one letter of one word, he said, but he was here to fulfill the law. And he made clear that. But he also went further and said, even thinking evil thoughts is a sin. And that's groundbreaking. That's a hard commandment to follow, even thinking evil thoughts. So you have to watch your thoughts, okay? He talked about the eye for the eye and the tooth for the tooth. And he went on, he said, you know, he taught about recompense, not vengeance, and being just and merciful. And he went further, turn the other cheek, go the extra mile to your persecutor, love your enemies, bless them, do good for them, and pray for them. This was radical thought back then. And this is what Christ taught on the Sermon on the Mount. And it's not easy to do. And if you're not doing it, you got to start trying, okay? You got to keep working towards perfection. We're human. It's hard to be perfect, but that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to become complete or whole, an integrated person, integrity. This is where you're not one person in one set of company and you're another person in another set of company. You're the same person all the time. And this is what you learn as you follow Jesus, okay? And how important it is to quickly forgive others, just as we want to be forgiven by God. And remembering the prodigal son as a great example. Okay, so we talked, we shared not to judge people, love thy enemy, being the hardest teachings. And that class is the end of our class. I hope you appreciated and gained something from this review. Did any of this sound familiar? Let me ask you that.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Okay, that's music to my ears as a teacher. And I'm not surprised to hear you, because I've said this before, you seem to be a very attentive class, very thoughtful answers when we have breakout sessions. So look forward to our next class, new material, and we'll have breakout sessions again. Okay, enjoy your Halloween. I don't know what you're planning to do, but have fun and be safe and have a wonderful week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy Halloween.
Thank you. Bye-bye.